In this video, I'll show you how to build a formula that looks for a value in a column and returns a corresponding value in another column, and then concatenates those values into one cell. So go to my website and copy the formula, and you can find the link in the description below. And paste it, and now you need to change the cell references here. The first cell reference here should point to the value you want to look for, and the next cell reference is the column you want to look in, this column, and the last cell reference is the cell range you want to return values from. And then enter this as an array formula. Hold Ctrl and Shift, and then press Enter once, and then release all keys. You can see that the value here, fruit, is found here, so the corresponding value is orange, and here banana and apple, and these values here are concatenated into this cell. So how does this formula work? You need to have Excel 2016 because you need the text join function. And if you don't have Excel 2016, you can use a user-defined function, and I'll show you that in another video. But the way this formula works is that it uses a if function and then a logical expression, and I want to compare this value with the values in this cell range here. And if they are true, I want it to return the corresponding value in this cell range on the same row. And if it is false, if this value here is not equal to fruit, it will return a blank. And then press Ctrl Shift and Enter to build an array formula. And this formula here returns an array of values, and you can only see the first value in this array. So to be able to see all values, you need to extend the array formula to cells below. And now you can see all the values in this array. And the logical expression here is this one, and I'm going to show you that also. Equal sign, and then enter this as an array formula and extend this array formula to cells below. And now you can see that this logical expression returns true for this value, false for this value, true, true, false, false. So the if function uses this logical expression to get the values from this column here. And if it is false, it returns a blank. And so the array here returns orange, a blank, banana, apple, a blank, and a blank. The text join function can then use the values in this array to concatenate them into a single cell. And equal sign, text join function, parenthesis, and the delimiter here, the limiting character here is blank. So use double quote and a space and then a double quote and a comma, and this moves this is the second argument, and here you can specify if you want it to ignore empty cells or include empty cells, and I don't want to include empty cells, so use true here, a comma, and then the array, and I'll copy that array and put it here, and I don't need the equal sign, and then an ending parenthesis for the text join function, and now enter this as an array formula. And here the values are. The data here has a duplicate banana and banana for category fruit, and it shows up here in the cell, and the question is, how do you only concatenate unique distinct values here? And to do that, I'm using the match function, but first I want to know which values is in category fruit. So the if function, and then a cell reference to the category value, equal, and then a cell reference to this cell range here. And then in the next argument, if this logical expression is true, the corresponding value in this cell range is returned, and if it is false, it returns nothing. And extend the array formula so you can see all the values in this array. And now it's obvious that there is a duplicate here, banana. And to extract unique distinct values here, I'm using the match function. And the first argument is going to be this cell range here, and the second argument is this filtered list, and I don't need the equal sign there. And the third argument is going to be 0, an exact match. And then to show all the values in this array, extend the array formula. And now what the match function does is that it matches this value here with this array here. Sorry, this value here with this array here. And orange is found here, so it returns the position in this array here, so it returns 1. The next one, carrot, is not found in this array, so it returns not available, error. The next one is banana, and it's found here, so it returns 3, position 3 in this array, 1, 2, 3. Apple is found here, 1, 2, 3, 4, so it returns 4. Tomato is not found at all here, so it returns an error. And now the interesting thing, banana is found 1, 2, 3, so it's found in the third place. What we can do is that we can compare the values here with an array that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And to build such an array, I'm going to use the match function again, and row function. And the cell reference to this cell range here. And the next argument is row function again, ending parenthesis. And now we built an array with the position. So the first value has position 1, the second value has position 2, and it is 2. And now this allows us to compare the values in this cell range with this cell range. And if they are equal, you know it is a unique distinct value. So for orange, this is a unique distinct value. Carrot is not here, so they are not equal. Banana, and this is a unique distinct value. And apple is equal to this position. Tomato is not. And the interesting thing here is that banana is, this value here is a duplicate, so it's not equal to this position here. So use an if function again and compare these arrays. So copy this and then equal sign and the second array, and then 1 if it is true and 0 if it is not. And I'll change these two parameters or arguments later on, but I just want you to show what happens here. And it will return an error, I believe. For these values here. So the arrows here are moved to this array 2, and that is not good. We want to filter out these arrows, and to do that you can use the if arrow function and replace the arrows with a blank. And this is still an error because there is no value here, so ignore that. And this is the array, and now there are no arrows here. What we can do now is to replace this argument with a reference to this cell range and see what happens. So now the array has these values and the duplicate is gone, but it returns a 0 here, and we don't want that, so we need to change this. Replace this 0 with a blank. And now we can use this formula to concatenate the values. So equal sign, text join function, parenthesis, remove the equal sign. And the first argument is the delimiter character, and in this case I'm going to use a comma. and the second argument is if it should ignore empty cells, and yes, ignore them. And the third argument is the array we built, and an ending parenthesis for the text join function. And now enter this as an array formula, Control Shift and enter. And now the duplicate banana is gone. You can also do a wildcard search, meaning that if this text string here is found in a cell here, the corresponding value is concatenated. And to build such a formula, you need to use the search function. Type $search and the text you want to use and look for, and then a reference to this cell range here, and an ending parenthesis. And the search function returns a number. So if fruit is found in this value here, it returns number 1 for the character where it's found. So in this case, it begins with fruit, so it returns 1. And if it's not found, it returns an error. Then use the if function and use this as a logical expression. And if it is true, and in this case if it's returning a number, any number, that means that it is true. And in this case I want to return a value from this cell range, and if it is false, I want it to return a blank. Now the error value moves to this formula, so I want to ignore that, and I'm going to use the if error function to replace the error with a blank. And now the values I don't want is blank. And the next thing to do is to use the text join function, and the delimiting character is a comma, and ignore empty cells, yes, and then the array. Ending parenthesis, and enter it as an array formula. And now the formula returns the corresponding values that has the text string fruit in this column. And this is clearly not a fruit. Anyway, so this has fruit 1, fruit 2, fruit 1, fruit 2, but it doesn't matter because this only looks for the text string fruit here. To concatenate dates, you need to change one thing in the formula, and you can see that this formula returns values, and Excel treats dates as values, so this is not unexpected. And to change this, use the text function. And you need to format it in the second argument. And I live in Sweden, so I use these characters. But you will probably use these down here. Too many arguments. I forgot the ending parenthesis. And this looks weird. And now it works. And to get the same output as in these cells here, you have the month first, and then /dd, and then the year. And I forgot the double quotes. And now it almost looks like that. And now, so if the value in this column is equal to fruit, the corresponding date here is concatenated into this cell here. And this date here is found here, and this date is found here, and this date is found here. And I see another thing I can change. And now they are exactly the same. If you want to use a date that matches a date range, you can use the if function to build such a formula that will extract the values you want to concatenate from this column. And the first argument is the logical test or the logical expression. And in this case, I'm going to use two logical expressions. And I want the date to be smaller than or equal to the end date. And then multiplied with another logical test. And I want this date to be larger than or equal to the dates here. And if both logical tests return true, then the this logical test returns true, then I want it to filter out these values here. And if not, if it returns false, it returns a blank. And now expand this array formula, and you can now see that there are only two date ranges that match this. And if I change this to 1 and this to 12, this also is a match. And then the next thing is to use the text join function. Equal sign, text join, parenthesis, and the first argument is the delimiting character, and I want to use it comma. and then true, I want it to ignore blank cells, and then the third argument is the array, or the array formula I built, ending parenthesis, and enter this as an array formula. Press and hold Control and Shift, and then press Enter.